They discovered the shocking truth behind Jeremiah 29 verse 11 that changes everything. Few knew what truly happened that night. In the depths of Babylon, in the shadows of chain and despair, the cries of the exiled echoed. They had lost everything: home, freedom, hope. And then came the message. It whispered through the darkness, a promise that seemed too good to be true. Jeremiah stood alone, a silhouette against the flickering torchlight. The air was thick with tension, the distant sounds of sorrow wrapping around him. It was 586 BC, a fragile world of fallen dreams and despairing souls. The Israelites clung to his every word, hanging on the edge of calamity. Their land was 1,000 miles away, and the weight of their captivity rested heavily on their shoulders. His voice trembled as he uttered the infamous words, "For I know the plans I have for you." But what were these plans? How could a merciful God sit idly while his people suffered? The spiritual turmoil cracked the fragile sanity of the believers. They grasped each verse as a lifeline in churning waters, but doubt crept in like a thief in the night. If God knew their plans, why were they trapped in exile? Why the silence? Had he forgotten them in their greatest hour of need? A murmur rippled through the crowd. Hope and skepticism intertwined. Conversations buzzed, filled with whispered prayers and hesitations. Will we ever return? Is there a future for us? Each question hung heavy in the air, charged with a longing that could shatter stone. Skeptics scoffed, while the faithful clenched their fists in prayer. The tension was palpable, and as Jeremiah prophesied, the unusual began to transpire. Strange portents danced in the unseasonable storm clouds, stars dimmed like fading hopes. Was it a sign? Every rustle of leaves, every creak of the buildings, ignited their fears. Were they forsaken, or was God about to unveil something miraculous? Amidst the chaos, his heart raced. What truth was hidden behind those words? Was there truly a future filled with hope waiting for them, or was it merely the light at the end of a very dark tunnel? The question loomed, stronger than the weight of chains. As the night deepened, the air thickened with anticipation. What lay ahead? Would the dawn bring clarity or only more shadows? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The night wore on, a cloak of foreboding that wrapped tightly around the hearts of the exiles. The flame of every torch flickered like their remaining hope. They gathered under the vast expanse of a starless sky, uncertainty hanging over them like a dense fog. Jeremiah, now drawing deeper breath, sensed their collective yearning. Their questions clung to him like fragments of glass within his soul. Listen, he implored, his voice rising above murmurs. Do not mistake the silence of God for abandonment. Our journey through this darkness, though painful, carries purpose. Even here, in Babylon's grasp, we are not void of his presence. His words began to root deeply, but skepticism bewitched many. An elder among them, carved with age and wisdom, stepped forward. Prophet Jeremiah, we wish to believe. Yet, our arms ache from bondage, our hearts from sorrow. How does a plan filled with hope exist when burdens weigh us down? Jeremiah closed his eyes for a moment, seeking clarity in his spiraling thoughts. He reached out, fingers grazing the cool, damp earth beneath him. Slowly, he began to address the elder's concerns, his tone gentler now. In this forced sojourn, perhaps there is a searching, a yearning to discover our strength. Often, it is in the pruning that we are readied for new growth. As murmurs turned into thoughtful silence, the wind shifted. A cool breeze swept across the gathered, hinting at the change they dared long for. Remember the stories of our ancestors, he urged, recalling the legends shared by the fires of their youth. The wilderness tested our forebears, yet therein their faith was forged anew. Each challenge is an unraveling a chance to seek him with a heart that dares to hope. That he paused, scanning their faces, seeking a flicker of belief within tired eyes. There is a promise of restoration. God's plans may weave through shadows, but they are threads of grace that lead us to light. In our waiting, we must learn to commune with him, for the journey itself carries purpose. Yet, the elders still bore doubt. Is this hope not a mirahé, a gentle whisper that escapes just when we think we can grasp it? Hope must be chaste, Jeremiah conceded, his brow furrowed. Faith is the anchor in this tempest, but it does not shield us from suffering. It beckons us to press onward, to connect with the truth that lies beneath our cries. Have we allowed our journey to shroud our understanding of what it means to trust? As these contemplations lingered, an unsettling tremor rippled through the night. For a fleeting moment, the cries of distant captives mixed with an ethereal melody, an almost celestial reminder that they were not alone. The shadows deepened, but something within their hearts began to shift, igniting a quiet flame against despair. In that embrace of uncertainty, each soul turned inward, contemplating the very depths of their spirit. Could it be that suffering would birth something greater? Could their chains lead to freedom, not just for them, but for generations yet to come? As they pondered, shadows danced further, shrouding them in mystery. The stillness of the night echoed Jeremiah's unyielding faith, but yet, questions lingered like the dust of old roads. How does one sustain hope while bound in chains? Would their captivity yield to a greater blessing, or had they stepped into the darkness forever? Thus the night deepened, ushering forth the first stirrings of dawn, a reminder that perhaps, even in their most profound despair, the dawn was not merely a promise of light but a clarion call to resilience. Yet, as the first light began to creep upon the horizon, one question remained: in this journey through darkness, could they truly seek and find that which their souls longed for, or would they remain forever in exile, lost to the plans they could not yet comprehend? The morning light broke softly, weaving its golden threads through the remnants of night. The flames from the torches that once flickered in despair now smoldered quietly, their warmth lingering in the air like the afterglow of shared hope. The early rays of sun cast long shadows, yet they illuminated the faces of the exiles, revealing an array of expressions, some still clouded with doubt, others beginning to glimmer with newfound strength. Jeremiah stood alone for a moment, feeling the weight of the silence that enveloped the camp. He lifted his gaze to the horizon where the sky met the earth in a tranquil embrace, pondering the fate that awaited them. Amidst the beauty of creation, a question tugged at his heart: what does it mean to hold on to the promise of plans filled with hope when the present seemed fraught with struggle? As the group awakened from their troubled dreams, a sense of urgency began to pulse through Jeremiah's veins. "Gather around," he called, drawing them closer. "Today, we must reflect and act. This very morning offers us a chance to seek the truth hidden beneath the pain of our chains." Still uncertain, the elder who had voiced skepticism stepped forward once more. "What truth do we unearth that can lift this burden from our backs, Jeremiah? We are exiled, living among our captors in a land that feels foreign to us." Jeremiah nodded, understanding the difficulty embedded in each word. "While we may feel distant from our home, let us explore the truth that may yet bind us to our purpose." He paused, the air thick with anticipation. God's plan, as written in the words we hold dear, is not a mere promise stitched into time. It is a living expression of his intention to craft something anew from all that we endure. With those words, Jeremiah beckoned them to consider their surroundings. "Look at the land," he said. "Though it is Babylon, a place of heaviness, consider its lessons. Can we not plant seeds of faith even here, where despair threatens to root us? Wouldn't our lives serve a purpose by embracing the struggle, by loving even in the midst of our captivity?" As if in response, a gentle breeze rustled the leaves of nearby trees, whispering messages only the keenest heart could decipher. The exiles turned their eyes toward the branches swaying above, pondering what it means to flourish where one is planted, even in foreign soil. "Remember the words given to our ancestors," Jeremiah continued, his voice rising with conviction. "In the most barren of lands, great fruit can emerge. Are we not called to reflect the light of the God who preserves us? If we choose to draw near to him in our yearning, could that very act unlock the potential hidden within our pain? The elder was still, his brow furrowed as he weighed the prophet's words. Is it possible that our chains are not merely binding us but instead transforming us? Could we learn to thrive in suffering? Yes. Jeremiah declared, his heart resonating with the timing of the unfolding day. This day, let us seek ways to be of service to the very community that holds us captive. We may not yet reclaim our homeland, but we can share kindness, embody empathy, and offer understanding. Perhaps in doing so, we reflect the very promise we cling to and, in turn, fulfill it. As they contemplated his call to action, murmurs of uncertainty shifted again, this time turning toward a growing sense of cohesiveness. The shadows of doubt began to disperse as conversation sprouted among the group, nurturing connections where only estrangement had flourished, but amid the newfound sense of purpose, a haunting question loomed in the air: if they chose to take steps toward communal love and understanding, would this truly lead them closer to the hope that awaited? Or would the pursuit of purpose among captors only further entrench them in their exile, blurring the line between liberation and surrender? As they turned to face the burgeoning day, the sun ascended higher, painting the sky with vibrant hues. The uncertainty remained, but with it came a profound reflection: could embracing their captivity truly unlock the enduring promise of restoration, or was the path to hope fraught with unseen peril? As the sun climbed higher, illuminating the gentle curves of the land around them, Jeremiah sensed a stirring deep within the hearts of the exiles. They were still uncertain, but the seeds of hope he had planted began to take root. With each passing moment, he felt the possibility of a new understanding blooming in their midst. Let us not hurry past our feelings of doubt or despair, he said after a thoughtful pause. Instead, let us hold them closely and examine the deeper truths lying beneath. We are gathered here together, perhaps no longer solely as exiles, but as a community seeking meaning in our shared struggle. The elder, whose skepticism had sparked the deepest conversations, spoke thoughtfully once more. And what truth can we grasp today that will guide our steps forward? Words from the prophet, words of plans filled with hope. How do they manifest in our lives amidst such suffering? Jeremiah's heart underlined the importance of this moment. Perhaps the truth we need to find lies not solely in searching for freedom from our current plight, but in understanding why we have been brought here. Could this experience of exile be an invitation to explore our relationship with the Almighty beyond our expectations? The hum of conversation quieted and the faces before him were painted with curiosity. It was as if he had opened a door to a room filled with unknown wonders. Just as God spoke to our ancestors in the wilderness, could he also be crafting something new within us today? We may always chase the dream of returning home, yet perhaps the journey itself is our true path to restoration. A youth in the group, whose spirit had been subdued by the weight of recent events, raised a finger, his eyes shining with a mixture of apprehension and eagerness. But if we focus solely on what we lack, the homeland we yearn for, might we overlook the gifts present even in our pain? Exactly, Jeremiah affirmed, recognizing the wisdom in the question. We often forget that through the shadows come lessons rich with insight. Pain teaches us about resilience, longing sharpens our appreciation for love, and exile may cultivate a depth of faith we never anticipated. As if timed by destiny, a pair of birds soared overhead, their wings tracing graceful arcs against the expanse of blue. Several exiles turned their gazes upward, captivated by the sight. "How free they appear," one woman whispered, her tone wistful. Yet they too soar in search of purpose, perhaps in territory they do not claim as their own. Jeremiah felt the reverberation of that thought. Indeed, every day, the creatures of God's creation thrive and find fulfillment in their journey, regardless of the hand they've been dealt. What if we, too, could be like them, flying high on the wings of faith, embracing where we are while reaching toward where we believe we can go? A murmur ran through the gathering, weaving threads of intrigue. Jeremiah continued, his voice steady yet filled with passion. Let us explore how we can serve our captors, how we can engage fracturing lines within this society, and how our lives might reflect the kindness of the one who sustains us. Perhaps it will unlock our chains not by planning a route out of exile, but by blessing these very steps we walk today. Encouraged by his words, several exiles began to nod, contemplating this new approach to their lives. But even amidst the burgeoning inspiration, uncertainty lingered. Will our acts of kindness diminish our yearning for home? Someone pondered aloud, echoing the vulnerability that still resided among them. If we embrace this new calling, how do we ensure it doesn't become a distraction from the hope we hold? Jeremiah felt the weight of the question, aware that the lines of commitment to community and the desire for liberation often blur in the hearts of those who suffer. It may be within our ability to balance both, to serve where we are while envisioning where we long to be. Embracing hope does not mean abandoning our dream, it means allowing it to guide our steps as we journey together. As the day wore on, they set forth the plans for the immediate future, but deep in their hearts lingered a contemplative challenge. Could serving their captors reveal a greater truth about their own faith, or would it inadvertently deepen their roots in a land they wished to escape? With the sun setting behind distant mountains, casting a golden light over the camp, they pondered quietly. In the silence, the question hung heavy, echoing in the hearts of the faithful: is it possible that the true promise of Jeremiah 29 verse 11 lies in our willingness to transform our waiting into action, and in our capacity to find freedom within the very chains that bind us? As a hush fell over the encampment, the fading light revealed the faces of those who had gathered, each individual a tapestry woven with the threads of hope and despair. Their eyes mirrored the shifting hues of the twilight sky, a blend of yearning and uncertainty that hung in the cool evening air. Jeremiah listened intently, aware that within this gathering of exiles lay the potential for profound revelations, yet the path forward remained clouded with shadows. One elder, whose wise brow creased as if pondering a weary landscape, broke the silence. What if, in our search for understanding, we delve deeper into the heart of the prophecy? You speak of kindness and service, but what if the true promise of God's plans encompasses trials far greater than our current suffering? A wave of contemplative murmurs swept through the crowd. Pondering the elder's words, Jeremiah found himself reflecting on the nature of God's promises, often veiled in layers of time, circumstance, and divine purpose. In times of difficulty, our vision can narrow, Jeremiah began, his voice raising in the gathering twilight. Yet God's plans stretch beyond the confines of our immediate understanding. We find ourselves here, in exile, but perhaps it is in this very state of being lost that we are prepared for the incredible transformations ahead. A young woman stepped forward, Anya, whose voice trembled with righteous fervor. Is it possible, then, that what we fear most, our suffering, could itself be the setting in which our truest selves are forged? Might there be beauty in pain that we must be willing to embrace? Can we dare to believe that our communal trials are indeed part of a greater design? Jeremiah's heart lifted as a spark ignited among them. Could we recognize that our shared sufferings are akin to the refining fire, one that ignites purpose, deepens compassion, and draws us closer to our Creator? For every tear we shed, can it not also be said that the longing for freedom progresses into an understanding of what truly matters: love, community, and faith? The air brimmed with possibilities as each exile pondered the echoes of their experiences. Painful memories resurfaced, drawn forth by Jeremiah's words: the grief of lost homes and ruptured families, perhaps intertwined with fleeting moments of kindness received from unexpected places, even here in the land of their oppressors. Just then, a gentle breeze rustled the leaves around them, as if nature herself joined in their contemplation. What do you think, Jeremiah? Anya continued, eyes glistening with fresh resolve. Do our trials truly shape the greatness within us? Is there a calling laced within our agony that we are yet to discern? Jeremiah could feel the passion in her question as he reflected on the countless stories of those who had come before Abraham, Moses, Joseph, their paths fraught with hardship yet leading to the fulfillment of divine purpose. Indeed, Anya. Those who walk in faith are often led through dark valleys where, paradoxically, the light of truth shines brightest. Our time here may be an opportunity for transformation, questioning the depths of our faith and the resilience of our hearts. A moment of silence enveloped the group, as they absorbed the weight of this newfound understanding. In their hearts, uncertainty still lingered like a fog that hadn't yet lifted. Yet, within it was the seed of Claritian invitation to redefine home, not just as a place but as a state of being, tethered by purpose. Perhaps, Jeremiah suggested gently, finding the roots of our faith in the soil of community is where true revival stems. and not just escape from exile. But it leaves us with another question: are we willing to allow the discomfort of our situation to mold us into instruments of God's peace and purpose, and embrace what is still yet unknown, amid the promises we hold dear? As the stars began to emerge one by one, their distant light a comfort amidst the encroaching darkness, the exiles stood together, pondering not just the echoes of history or the mourning of their losses, but the uncertain shadows of the journey still before them. Could it be that in their darkest moments lay the catalysts for unprecedented growth, and if so, what might they discover in the courage to embrace the unknown? As the stars blanketed the sky, shimmering like scattered hopes, the exiles remained entranced by their unspoken questions. Jeremiah's words bathed the encampment in a light that seemed to flicker with the whispers of the divine. Yet, even as his heart swelled with faith, a gnawing uncertainty gnawed at the edges of his mind. What was the essence of the promise they so fervently held? That night, the exiles found themselves drifting into restless slumber, dreams mingling with hopes and fears. Jeremiah, however, could not find rest. The weight of responsibility and the uncertainty of the future loomed large upon him. He felt called to seek further understanding, yearning to peel back the layers of their reality. In the quiet of the night, he ventured beyond the camp, drawn to the river that flowed nearby, a cauldron of memories, stories, and time that had witnessed generations. It whispered to him as he knelt by its edge, the soft sound of water reflecting the echoes of the collective suffering and resilience of his people. "Lord," he murmured into the darkness, "what is the truth behind the promise that binds us? What is the deeper meaning behind the words we cling to from the scroll of Jeremiah?" At that moment, as if the air itself had thickened with divine revelation, he felt a presence beside him. It was the elder from earlier, his silhouette softened by the starlight. "You, too, seek understanding in the quiet shadows, Jeremiah?" he asked, voice gentle yet filled with weighty wisdom. "Yes," Jeremiah replied, rising to meet the elder's gaze. "I fear our understanding of the promise in those words may be superficial. We speak of hope, but what if the journey itself holds a different truth? What if it reveals something deeper about who we are to become?" The elder's eyes shone with knowledge, and he settled beside Jeremiah, gazing at the flowing water. "Hope is but the vessel," he began slowly, "but the true treasure lies in what we uncover while navigating turbulent waters. Let us speak not only of future promises but of the present realities we must embrace." As they sat in contemplative silence, the elder turned his gaze to the stars. "In our suffering, we possess a connection to those who have walked this path before us. Recall God's covenant with Abraham. He was promised a great nation, yet endured years of trial. Every story of endurance been interlaced with suffering. It is in our very struggles that our legacy is forged, each act of faith a reminder that God's hand guides us." A shiver coursed through Jeremiah as he pondered the weight of the elder's words. "Do you believe, then, that the pain we endure is an integral part of God's plan? That our suffering is not a sign of His absence but an invitation to seek Him more fervently?" The elder nodded, conviction strong in his countenance. "Yes, Jeremiah. The shock of exile calls us to grapple with faith more profoundly than comfort ever would. We are indeed vessels of His mystery, and within us lies the potential for transformation." At that moment, Jeremiah felt a profound connection to his purpose, ignited by the truth unfolding before him. What if their suffering was not a punishment, but rather a crucible designed to refine their spirits? A question took root in his heart, beckoning him to explore deeper truths, a truth that would challenge the very foundations of their beliefs. Then, if our pain serves a purpose, how do we prepare our hearts to embrace that journey of transformation? He asked, eyes alight with newfound curiosity. The elder smiled, his eyes reflecting the stars above. "Sometimes, the path forward leads us deeper into the weight of our burdens. The revelation does not solely lie in answers, but in the willingness to ask and to embrace the unknown. With each question posed in faith, we draw closer to the heart of God." Jeremiah nodded, absorbing the elder's wisdom. As the rippling water echoed the stars' light, he pondered what lay ahead. Could it be that in the mysterious depths of their shared trials, they would find the revelation needed to free their hearts and Souls from the chains of despair, together, they continued to contemplate, aware that their journey was only just beginning. Yet, questions remained: how courageous were they to delve into the unknown, and what profound truths about themselves and their relationship with the divine awaited discovery in the shadows of their trials. As dawn broke and the first light of day shimmered across the river, painting the world in soft hues of gold and amber, Jeremiah and the elder remained by the water's edge, caught in the silence of revelation. The cool breeze carried the scents of earth and life, whispering promises of new beginnings. A sense of urgency filled the air, compelling Jeremiah to seek further understanding of the covenant spoken through ages. "Tell me, elder," he implored, "how shall we recognize the unfolding of God's plan in our lives? We are steeped in despair and confusion, but I wish to see clearly. What does the promise really mean for us?" The elder smiled knowingly and turned his eyes back toward the river. "Even the mightiest waters have their source, Jeremiah. The promise is but a seed, and what truly matters is the soil in which it is planted. Your souls, raw from sorrow, are ripe for cultivation." Jeremiah felt the depth of those words resonate within him. But what if we lack the strength to nurture that seed? What if the weight of our past renders us powerless? "Therein lies the mystery, my young friend," the elder replied, "for it is often in our weakest moments that we behold the greatest strength. We must learn to trust the unseen roots that entwine us with one another and with the divine. True faith is not just about what we hope for, but also how we navigate our realities in spite of what we fear." The river flowed steadily, a symbol of continuity amid uncertainty. Jeremiah recalled how even nature, with its seasons of death and life, mirrored their own struggles. Could it be, he pondered, that God's intention with the promise is to remind us that every loss carries the potential for renewal? The elder nodded, his eyes reflecting the wisdom of ages. "Indeed, each wound can become a channel for grace, each trial, a pathway toward clarity. Consider the stories of your people, how their trials often led to profound revelations. In the wilderness, hunger and thirst were not mere detriments but invitations to experience God's provision." As they spoke, the sun ascended higher, illuminating their surroundings with a warmth that seemed to urge them forward. Jeremiah thought of the exiles who relied on him for guidance and comfort. Were they, too, standing at the edge of a profound awakening, unaware that their discomfort might herald a transformative journey? "There is fear in confronting the unknown," he admitted, the struggle within evident in his countenance. "Yet, perhaps we stand at a crossroads. What lies beyond our understanding may be the doorway to the deeper truths we seek." The elder placed a gentle hand upon Jeremiah's shoulder. "Courage is not the absence of fear, but the will to move forward despite it. Maybe the call to action lies in fostering a community bound not only by shared suffering but by shared aspirations. Together, we may harness the promise anew." Jeremiah absorbed the elder's words, the weight of his responsibilities intertwining with a flicker of hope. If they could collectively confront their past grievances and stand in faith, could they transform their suffering into something infinitely more powerful? The horizon seemed to beckon, a pathway defined not by despair, but by a shared longing for deeper understanding and unity. But as Jeremiah considered the possibilities, a question loomed large in his heart: how could the exiles reconcile their pain with their promise, and would they have the wisdom and courage to nourish the seeds of hope that had been sown amidst so much uncertainty? As the sun climbed higher in the sky, chasing away the remnants of the dawn, Jeremiah and the elder remained by the riverbank, transfixed by the conversation that unfolded between them. The waters continued their gentle song, carrying murmurs of memories from days gone by, yet Jeremiah sensed that new stories were waiting to be born. "I often wonder, elder," he began, his voice a mix of curiosity and longing, "how the promise of renewal can resonate through the lives of our people when they feel so lost. How do we instill within them the courage to believe that their pain could lead to something greater?" The elder turned, his gaze steady and filled with compassion. "Every great truth begins as a seed of discomfort, Jeremiah. It is through the fire of trials that one may refine their character. You must remember how God led the Israelites through the wilderness, not merely to steal their comfort but to teach them reliance on Him. There lies a mystery in the journey that cannot be grasped without stepping into the unknown. Jeremiah felt the weight of history pressing upon him, woven into the fabric of their struggles. Yet, as leaders, we often encounter despair that feels insurmountable. The exiles wandered without direction, lost in their grief. How can we navigate them through their desert? The answer, young one, the elder said softly, lies within the heart of the promise itself. God's words are not merely proclamations of hope but invitations for reflection and action. The meaning of His plans for us often reveals itself in the doing, in the striving towards something beyond ourselves. Much like the river carves its path through stone, perseverance will shape the contours of faith. Jeremiah's heart quickened at the thought. So, we are called to act, to create bridges of understanding? Could our shared pain and renewed hope weave us closer together? Indeed, that is where unity breeds strength. When the exiles let go of the weight of their despair and instead offered it to one another, they cultivated a communal garden of resilience. It is not just about the whisperings of a distant promise, it is about bringing it to life with every choice we make to uplift each other. The very air hummed with the significance of their dialogue, and though Jeremiah wrestled with the shadows of doubt that still lingered, he sensed a burgeoning light within him. But, elder, how do we ensure that our intentions align with that promise? How can we discern between our desires and the true guidance of our Creator? The elder's gaze turned serious, contemplative. Discerning the divine call requires a heart attuned to the quiet whispers of the Spirit. It often calls us into solitude, where we can confront our true self, stripped of all pretense, and allow our needs to be met by God alone. Prayer and reflection will anchor you amidst the chaos and offer clarity in the murky waters of uncertainty. As Jeremiah processed these thoughts, he peered out at the river, where the light danced upon the water, reflecting a myriad of colors. Perhaps, he pondered, the overwhelming feelings that plagued him could also serve as a guidepost and opportunity for deeper communion with the people he served, for together they could navigate their collective uncertainties. Although hope fluttered in his spirit, Jeremiah could not shake the question that rose unbidden within him: how would they embark on this journey of faith together? And would they have the strength to face the revelations that awaited them along the way? As the river murmured gently, weaving its age-old tale, Jeremiah's thoughts swirled like the eddies that danced alongside the banks. The elder's words echoed in his mind, but a yearning for deeper understanding tugged at the corners of his heart. He turned to the elder once more, feeling the quiet urgency of his own soul's questions spill forth. Elder, I have heard the promise of Jeremiah 29 verse 11 so many times. The Lord plans to prosper us, to give us hope and a future. But what if this promise does not unfold in ways we expect? What if it means walking through valleys we cannot yet comprehend? The weight of the text brought a fear that tangled with his hope. The elder regarded Jeremiah with knowing eyes, as if he had seen this wrestling before, generations ago. Ah, young one, the promise indeed holds a depth that may elude many. It is a treasure buried in the soil of our shared history, waiting to be unearthed. To tend to such a promise, we must embrace the paradox of pain and purpose. Jeremiah's brow furrowed, and he leaned closer, eager for illumination. But how do we encourage our people to hold on to hope when they seem engulfed by despair? What if they cannot see how their suffering can be transformed into something beautiful? The journey in exile teaches us much about loss, the elder replied thoughtfully. We must remind our people that they are not abandoned but rather being prepared for a rebirth amid struggle. Look to the lessons of the past. Did the Israelites grasp the full scope of their deliverance as they wandered? No. They often grumbled, clung to their memories of Egypt, failing to recognize the new identity God was crafting in them. Silence hung between them, filled with the sound of flowing water, as Jeremiah considered the elder's words. So you are suggesting that suffering is more than an obstacle, it can be a catalyst for transformation. A flicker of understanding sparked in him. Precisely, the elder nodded. In the darkness of doubt lies the fertile ground for faith to germinate. When our burdens are shared, we illuminate the path for one another. Each soul carries a seed of potential, and in the sorrow of exiles, we may find the foundation upon which the new future is built. Jeremiah turned back to the river, contemplating the imagery of growth within the struggle. He thought of his people, so often encumbered by the weight of their grief, their chains of despair clinging tightly. Is it possible, he mused aloud, that by facing our darkest fears together, we might forge a new destiny? What if we could inspire a collective awakening to the beautiful thing God intends to create from our pain? The elder's eyes glimmered with encouragement. The act of collective awakening begins with shared experience and vulnerability. When one voice rises with the hope of renewal, it reverberates profoundly among many. But such awakening is a fragile seed that needs nurturing. It requires trust and openness to the divine mystery that unfolds through our journey together. Jeremiah felt a weight lift slightly as clarity began to shape his own thinking. Yet, a heaviness lingered. The promise remained steeped in uncertainty, an enigma that refused to be solved. How do we convey that trust to our people when our own hearts are still searching for answers? How do we lead them to embrace the promise with the same courage you speak of? The elder placed a hand on Jeremiah's shoulder, grounding him. The first step is to share your own struggle with authenticity. Do not shy away from expressing your fears and doubts. In your honesty lies strength. Allow your people to see that even leaders grapple with uncertainty. It is in these moments of vulnerability that the bonds between souls are forged anew. As the sun dipped lower, casting a golden hue over the river, Jeremiah felt the growing warmth and light within him. But with this dawning realization came a deepening mystery. How might true trust in God transform their collective journey in ways they could not yet foresee? And were they prepared to embrace the answers that this venture might unveil? As the first rays of dawn filtered through the trees, the light spilled softly over the encampment, awakening the weary exiles with the promise of a new day. Jeremiah, standing by the riverbank, felt the weight of their shared journey resting upon him. Where once there had been shadows of doubt, an ember of hope flickered in the depths of his heart. He had witnessed the struggles of those around him and felt the stirrings of resilience born from their collective suffering. Drawing strength from their collective bond, he walked back to the gathering place, a fervor igniting within him. "Beloved friends," he called out, his voice rising above the soft hum of morning, a trill of hope playing in its timbre. Today is not just another day in captivity. It is an invitation to transform our pain into purpose, to embrace the truth held in the promise of God's plans for us. The exiles stirred, the weight of their burdens mingling with curiosity and anticipation. Many faces turned toward him, wearied yet yearning for answers, their hearts hungry for meaning amid despair. The elder, who had stood by Jeremiah's side in recent discussions, nodded, as if affirming the call to action. Jeremiah extended his arms, as if beckoning their weary spirits closer. "Among us, we bear chains that evoke sorrow, chains that imprison our hearts in fear. And yet, it is these same chains that may become our pathway to freedom. We are given the gift of choice to cultivate faith that flourishes even in adversity." The air thickened with the gravity of his words. Anya, the young woman who had sparked such meaningful dialogue in their previous gathering, stepped forward, her gaze bright with conviction. "But how can we know this freedom, Jeremiah? Our dreams of home feel distant. How do we grasp the promise of restoration when all we see seems broken?" Jeremiah's heart surged at her courage to voice the struggle that lay within many. "It begins by acknowledging our current state. We were uprooted from our familiar grounds, but that doesn't mean we cannot thrive in the soil of new challenges. Let us plant seeds of kindness in the hearts of those around us, even those who might seem like foes. Let us engage in acts of compassion and understanding here in Babylon, and in doing so, we will embody the very promise of restoration we cling to." He paused, gauging the response of the crowd. Whispers of uncertainty danced among them, yet there was a spark of flicker of hope in their eyes as they began to comprehend the depth of his words. "Each act of love, no matter how small, is like a ripple upon the water," Jeremiah continued, his voice rising with passionate fervor. "We cannot always understand the ripples, but we trust that they spread outward, reaching into places we cannot see. Our acts of service to our captors will bind us together and forge a community of strength and resilience. We will discover that in serving others, we reclaim the essence of our dignity and humanity. An elderly man stepped forward, his brow etched with the wisdom of years, yet his eyes glimmered with the fire of newfound belief. But what if our service is met with scorn? What if our efforts bear no fruit? How do we sustain hope in the face of continued adversity? Jeremiah stepped closer, his gaze unwavering. In moments of scorn, we may be tempted to retreat, to shield our hearts from further pain. Yet remember this, God's plans are often birthed in secret places, where human eyes can see only shadows. Faithful action does not obligate us to witness immediate change. Instead, it calls upon us to trust that our sacrifices matter, even when consequences remain unseen. The murmurs of acknowledgement began to swell among the group. Hope was beginning to take root, intertwining with their pain and uncertainty. Emboldened by the growing spirit within the exiles, Jeremiah raised his voice once more. Imagine planting a seed in the ground, burying it in darkness and dampness. It may seem hopeless at first, hidden from sight. But in time, water and air will nourish it, a slow, unseen process that brings forth life. This is not merely a vision born of optimism, it is a reality grounded in faith. His words had transformed the atmosphere, a cascading wave of belief washing over them collectively. The doubters began to soften, and a sense of belonging spread among them. We are not alone, he urged. We are many, and together, we embody the church that God envisions, a church not defined by walls, but by open hearts. Let us stretch beyond our wounds and offer compassion to the broken around us. Each moment of grace we grant is a step towards reclamation. A gentle wind began to rustle the leaves, echoing Jeremiah's call in a soft but powerful chorus. The light illuminating the encampment brightened, as if affirming the renewed spirit of the exiles. Voices began to rise, resonating with purpose. Yes. We will serve. We will thrive. As they emerged from the grip of despair, a tangible transformation took place. Families mingled with neighbors, empathy was forged from shared stories, and gestures of kindness began to flourish. They learned to laugh amidst sorrow, to hope amidst chains, and so-called enemies became neighbors at the dinner table. Weeks turned into months, and they forged a community firmly anchored in the divine promise. The exiles slowly learned that their captivity did not define them. Restoration was not merely a return to a geographical home, it was the reclamation of their humanity, their faith, and their ability to love and serve in the present moment. One evening, as the sun descended behind the horizon, Jeremiah climbed to a nearby hill, looking out over the sprawling land of Babylon. He felt a deep sense of peace wrap around him, the kind that comes from witnessing the profound changes among his people. Their hearts, once heavy with sorrow, were now adorned with courage, and hope filled the air like a sweet fragrance. As dusk embraced the land, he closed his eyes and thanked God for the unfolding journey. In their waiting, they had not merely endured, they had become instruments of love, learning that the depth of their suffering could be the very soil in which their purpose flourished. Then it struck him, the revelation he had long sought. The promise of Jeremiah 29 verse 11 was not just a declaration of hope for a future, it was a divine invitation to engage meaningfully in the present, a call to thrive and serve even amid adversity. With renewed vigor, he whispered a prayer of gratitude. Their story was a testament to resilience, a living testament that God's plans intertwine with our hearts through acts of love, and that even in the shadows, transformation unfolds. As the stars began to pepper the night sky, Jeremiah felt an overwhelming sense of unity blossom within him, a promise that echoed through the ages. Even in the depths of despair, love could ignite purpose, and hope could flourish in the most barren of lands. He turned back toward the bustling camp below, where laughter sparkled like stars, and he knew the journey ahead would be forged not in fear, but in faith, a journey bound by love that would echo through generations to come.